A mysterious disappearance, a final text message, and a double murder. This is the story of Samuel Herr and Juri Kibuishi. On May 22, 2010, Steve Herr arrived at his son's, Samuel Herr's apartment in Costa Mesa, California. He hadn't heard from Sam in over 24 hours, which struck him as odd. He found the door unlocked and was greeted by an eerie silence. Steve called out to Sam but got no reply. He then walked into his son's bedroom where he made a startling discovery. Steve found a dead body, but it wasn't Sam. It belonged to a young woman, Juri Kibuishi. Police immediately set their sights on Sam as the prime suspect, despite his family and friends telling them he would never do such a thing. When the truth of what happened did come out, it revealed a story that was almost too bizarre to be true. In today's video, we will unravel the shocking and twisted story of Samuel Herr and Juri Kibuishi. Samuel Eliezer Herr was born on May 29, 1993, to parents Steve Herr and Raquel Kalberman. He was an only child due to his mother's difficult pregnancy with him. During his early teens, Sam went through a rough time and was treated for both obsessive-compulsive disorder and bulimia. Sam often hung out with a gang called Brown Familia. He was not made an official member but had friends with gang affiliations. On January 16, 2002, then 18-year-old Samuel Herr was involved in leading a rival gang member, 19-year-old Byron Benito, to a remote park under false pretense to smoke marijuana. One thing led to another, and Byron was brutally stabbed and beaten to death. Sam and 17 other men and women were accused of taking part in the gruesome murder. Authorities confirmed it was a trap, and Byron was attacked by a group of rival gang members, who were reportedly seeking revenge for a killing that took place just hours earlier. Sam was arrested for his involvement, but ended up being acquitted following a trial. Others involved in the murder received life sentences, so it is unclear what the evidence was against Sam. From his arrest to his trial, Sam sat behind bars for close to a year. This gave him an experience he never wanted to have again. Upon his release, Sam was dedicated to turning his life around. This is when he decided to enlist in the Army. During his service, Sam showed his bravery while deployed in Afghanistan. He served with the 173rd Airborne Brigade, also known as the Sky Soldiers. Following his discharge, Sam traveled through Europe before coming home to Southern California with plans to get a college education before re-enlisting. While in Germany, Sam met a woman and the pair fell in love. The changed new man was serious about building a life full of prosperity and happiness. His time in the Army allowed Sam to save over $60,000. He planned to use this to buy a house and start a family. It truly seemed that Sam had completely turned his life around. At the time, Sam was renting an apartment in Costa Mesa, which was located close to Orange Coast College. Many young college students lived at this particular complex, and this included Sam's close friend Daniel Wozniak and his fiancée Rachel Buffett. Daniel and Sam knew each other in passing, since they were technically neighbors and good friends. Juri Kibuishi got to know Sam after she started tutoring him in anthropology. Juri was clearly a great teacher, as Sam went on to get an A in that class. Juri and Sam were both extremely close with their parents and families. There was no romantic relationship between them. Their relationship was more like brother and sister. On May 21, 2010, Juri had been out to dinner with her brother Taka. His wedding was coming up and Juri was set to be a bridesmaid. The group had a good evening together, but just when it was wrapping up, Juri started getting odd messages from Sam. He seemed to be having some sort of family issues and needed a shoulder to cry on. Since they were close, Juri didn't think much of it. Sam needed help, so she was going to go and help him. Juri told Taka about the text and informed her family that she was going over to Sam's apartment. After she arrived, Juri messaged Taka, "Uh-oh, doesn't look good," crying. This was the last time anyone ever heard from Juri Kibuishi. Sam was supposed to go to his parents' home for the weekend. When Saturday came, his father grew worrisome. When Steve, Sam's father, arrived at the apartment, it looked as if nothing was wrong. He called out to his son but got no answer. He would make a shocking discovery when he walked into the bedroom. He found Julie Kibuishi's lifeless body kneeled on Sam's bed, still wearing her crown tiara from the night before. It is easy to see why officers initially believed Sam could be responsible for Julie's death. Speaking on this, Steve Herr said, "Obviously, there's a dead woman in my son's apartment and he's missing. He's gone. I'm not stupid. I get it. You know, the suspicions are going to be on him." Julie was found face down on Sam's bed, having suffered a gunshot to the head. Some of her clothing had been ripped off, suggesting she may have been sexually assaulted. The entire apartment was sectioned off and searched, but Sam Herr was nowhere to be seen. When the text messages from Sam's phone were found, it further fueled suspicions that he had killed Julie before going on the run. His time serving in the army hadn't been without stressors, and Sam did battle with PTSD. Maybe he had suffered a mental breakdown and had done the unthinkable? Despite these questions being posed to Sam's friends and family, they were all adamant that he would never do such a thing. Sam and Julie were close friends. An extensive manhunt followed, trying to locate Sam. Julie's cell phone was found in Sam's apartment and promptly searched. Investigators could see that messages coming from Sam's phone had asked Julie to come over the previous night, but they didn't yet know that it hadn't been Sam sending these messages. While investigators were looking for Sam, Steve was doing his own investigation. Sam had given his dad passcodes and login details to his bank accounts, and Steve hoped this information would give him some clue about Sam's last whereabouts. When looking at these accounts, Steve found that someone had been withdrawing money from Sam's account 3 days after Julie was found murdered. Sam's credit card had also been used at a restaurant. On Monday, May 24th, Steve went to Chase Bank, where the money was withdrawn. He sat and waited in his car, hoping Sam's car would pull up so he would be able to see who if Sam was driving it. While this was going on, police continued questioning those closest to Sam. Investigators wanted to know his last movements and his frame of mind at the time. It was through 2 friends that investigators were pointed in the direction of Sam's neighbor, Daniel Wozniak. Daniel was born on March 23, 1984 in Long Beach, California. He attended Orange Coast College and studied theater. He and his fiancée, Rachel Buffett, were avid actors, and they both performed in many local shows. Daniel was one of the last people to see Sam after asking him to help move some theater props around. It turned out that Sam's bank cards did in fact lead to a major break in the case. A teenage boy was caught withdrawing money at an ATM using Sam's card. But was this boy involved in Sam's disappearance? No, he quickly advocated for himself, told the police who was. It was Daniel Wozniak. However much Daniel rated his own acting skills, they weren't enough to fool police. Initially, he admitted to manipulating the teenager into making withdrawals from Sam's account. When the boy asked Daniel whether it was illegal, he replied, No, don't worry." He then told them that Sam had showed up at his apartment and confessed to killing Julie. Daniel went on to say he helped Sam escape but had no involvement in the murder. This story only lasted until DNA was brought up. Daniel knew his DNA would be found at the scene, so he needed to change his story. "I saw the goddamn body. Is that what you want to hear? I was right over the body," he yelled at interrogators. "I didn't touch her. I didn't do anything. I saw 2 gunshots in her head." This information about the 2 gunshots surprised the investigator. At the apartment, only 1 gunshot wound was visible, and an autopsy revealed a second. This meant that Daniel was either there when Julie was shot, or he was the one who pulled the trigger. Following this initial investigation, Daniel was sent back to his holding cell. There, he called Rachel. All of these calls were recorded, and during the conversation, Rachel revealed that Daniel's brother had mentioned having incriminating evidence in his possession. It turned out that Daniel gave his brother the murder weapon to hide. Daniel begged Rachel not to mention this to the police. Rachel reminded Daniel that this was all being recorded and the authorities would listen in and hear the conversation. Once the call ended, Daniel called for a detective. He was ready to talk. Daniel Wozniak confessed to the murders of Julie Kibuishi and Samuel Herr. Sam, up until this point, had still been considered missing. Daniel lured Sam to the Los Alamitos Joint Forces Training Base's empty theater under the guise of helping him move some props. Sam just thought he was lending a close friend a helping hand. Instead, the whole thing had been a setup. Catching Sam off guard after luring him into an attic, Daniel shot him twice in the head before dismembering his body. Sam's body was found hidden in the attic of the theater. His head was found at El Dorado Park in Long Beach. But why? Why did this community theater man commit such a heinous act? The short answer is money. Daniel had worked out a plan to steal Sam's savings and pay for his upcoming wedding and honeymoon. At the time, Daniel was in significant debt and saw Sam's chunk of savings as his perfect way out of a jam. It really was just that callous. He killed Juri to purely cover up Sam's murder and point suspicion away from himself. Daniel Wozniak's trial began on September 2, 2015, and lasted for several weeks. He was tried in Orange County, California, and faced charges of 2 counts of first-degree murder as well as other related charges. During the trial, the prosecution presented evidence that Daniel had lured Samuel Herr to an empty theater at the Los Alamitos Joint Forces Training Base, where he shot and killed him. Daniel then dismembered Sam's body and scattered his remains in a nearby park. The prosecution also presented evidence that Daniel had lured in Juri Kibuishi to Sam's apartment, where he killed her and staged the scene to make it look like Sam had committed the murder. The defense argued that Daniel was not responsible for the murders due to his history of mental illness and drug abuse. They also claimed that Daniel had acted under the influence of his fiancée, Rachel Buffett, who they argued had manipulated him into committing the murders. After several weeks of testimony and evidence presented by both sides, the jury found Daniel Wozniak guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to death in September 2016. Speaking to his son's killer at the hearing, Steve told Daniel, "You, Dan, are a coward and a poster boy for the need for an effective death penalty in California." Julie's family remarked how they were able to close the worst chapter of their lives and move forward one step at a time. In January 2021, Daniel's death sentence was overturned by a federal judge who found that errors in the jury selection process had violated Daniel's constitutional rights. As of April 2023, Daniel remains in prison pending a new penalty phase trial to determine whether he will be sentenced to death or life in prison without the possibility of parole. There has been heavy debate as to whether Rachel Buffett knew what Daniel was going to do. In the end, she was convicted of being an accessory to murder and lying to police during the investigation. During the trial, the prosecutors argued that Rachel lied to police about her knowledge of Daniel's plans and had helped him cover up the crimes. This mainly focused on Rachel creating a fake alibi for Daniel and helping him dispose of evidence. In October 2019, a jury found Rachel Buffett guilty on 1 count of being an accessory to murder. She was subsequently sentenced to 32 months in state prison. During her sentencing hearing, Rachel read a statement. "I hope my silence hasn't been misinterpreted as callous. I'm also so sorry that any of my actions caused more pain to the Herr and Kibuishi families. I wish Sam and Juri were still here. I wish I could have done something to save them. I wish I'd never met Daniel Wozniak. I wish I'd never let him into my life. I wish I saw him for the liar and the manipulator that he was from day one. And I wish there was something I could do to fix this now. My heart goes out to the Herr and Kibuishi families, and they will always be in my thoughts and prayers." Rachel was subsequently spoken out of her alleged involvement in the crime and denies any involvement in the planning or execution of the murders. Daniel's brother, Timothy Wozniak, was also charged for being an accessory. He was sentenced to 3 years of informal probation. Daniel Wozniak was living above his means and could not afford his lifestyle. Instead of working hard and saving up money for his dream wedding and honeymoon, he chose to murder 2 innocent lives so he could make some quick cash. Samuel Herr showed that you can change your life around and set off on a new path. From his shaky start, he turned himself into a respectable man who had the hope of starting a family and serving his country again once he had finished his studies. Juri was a shining light to all who knew her. She was everything to her family and was unfortunately pulled into this sick plan for simply knowing Samuel Herr. They still had so much to live for, and Daniel Wozniak took that away. What were your thoughts on this case? Let us know down below.